from Messages from Heaven by Jaynee. That's also Messages from Heaven by Jaynee dot net on the web, and my email is spiritsbyjaynee at gmail.com. I am kind of sloppy today. This is Sunday, October 5th. Um, this is my second podcast since I had spinal surgery, and I've been rehabbing. I'm now home and I'm sleepy. Whew. I'm okay though. Let's see. I am creating art, and let's talk. Um, I have been friends with Joshua, otherwise known as Jesus, for I don't know, about 2 years now. Uh, he, I don't remember when he came to me before I broke my shoulder in Chicago, but he came then and he stayed with me in the hospital. The doctors in the hospital had assumed my shoulder that wasn't broken, but it was, and I was in a lot of pain. He stayed with me, but so after that, he came with me a number of times in the car. He likes listening to music, rock and roll, especially on the radio, which my radio doesn't completely work. So sometimes it's just not available. Ugh. So let me tell you what Jesus told me. Um, he said that his intention when when he threw the table over or tables in the temple was not to start a separate religion, and he was very upset that that was what was done. He wanted to change Judaism. He was Jewish. He studied with one of the elders the way they did um, when he was a boy, and and he was interested. He was very, very smart, very, very smart, gifted, very gifted. So anyway, the people who had the power were afraid of him and angry at him because he didn't want to change. And it they you know they kind of went along when the Pontius Pilate um, put him in for death. You know, had him sentenced to death and tortured him some. Um, but after that, they were very upset by what happened. They realized that he was one of theirs. In other words, he was a brilliant young man, and they looked they at what he had said, and they realized that he was right, and they didn't want him to die. So I know one of the records is wrong. He actually was pulled down from the cross at about 8 o'clock at night. He wasn't put up early the way they said. It was afternoon, late afternoon, by the time that happened. And they took him down. They took down some other people too, so that it looked as though it wasn't just for him. They took him, they carried him into the cave he was, it's known that he was in, and started to work with him and to heal him. It took at least 3 days to for him to revive, and they sent him. They got a card, gave him money because they really did feel guilty, So he went to Antioch. He was not. he wasn't able to sit up in the cart. He was in the cart laying down, and his main disciple went with, I don't know if it was Mary Magdalene. There was someone, he had gotten married earlier, when before he was 30, and uh, so his wife, and I haven't seen his children in there, but his children must have been around. Um, Although they may have been grown up by then. That was the thing, that I think he waited until they were grown before he started, and they were on their own before he started talking, lecturing. Um, they drove while he was in the car to Antioch, and then got him. Well, they bought a house. They were able to buy a house. I think they get a house, and he was already trained from his father as a carpenter. He became very successful. He didn't go back. It was assumed that he died on the cross, which, of course, as I said, he did not. Uh, he was very upset with what had been made of the religion that was started around him. It was not what he wanted. I'm looking at what's being said. Now, that's crazy. It might sound crazy. It's up to you what you believe. And in fact, if you believe that it's crazy and it didn't happen, that's fine. Um, you know, uh, what I would like you to believe is whatever suits you. It doesn't matter. This was 2,000 years ago. And if you are a Christian, continue. Just follow in what you feel are his footsteps. And um, thank you. You're not hurting anybody. It's just, this is what he told me. So he told me that when he was a kid, he used to run with other kids. They would run on the roofs of the houses. I guess it was in Nazareth. And, they hung on the back of carts, just like kids would, running around. And they didn't want to study with the old guys. Of course not. What kids want to do that? They want to play. But he did. I mean, he was supposed to. And he was brilliant. So even though he didn't want to, he could read and write, and he could read and write. He knew the Torah. He knew all the lessons. He knew what was expected of someone so brilliant at that time, and nobody said he shouldn't be a carpenter. He was, and he liked that. I mean, he was enjoyed it. And like I said, he became successful, and 50 years after he passed away, uh, people made up stories. No one knows if Mary Magdalene really existed or whether he married her. I mean, he had been married, and he did have kids. He had 4 kids. I said he had 4 kids. Um, what else? I've seen him. He has very, very dark brown hair. Very. It's down to about here. So he doesn't let it get, well, he doesn't show himself with it longer. He has brown eyes. His skin is kind of how do I show you? Like a reddish brown. He's Israeli. He's been in the sun, so it's kind of a dark tan. Someone who's been in the sun, because he works mostly outside. He doesn't work in the house. It's too hot. Um, let's see. I don't have anything. Well, kind of. My uncle's. See this stuff over there. The little shelves, the little drawers. That's kind of his color. He looks like he's sort of bronze from the sun, and he wears a white sleeveless gown with a rope belt and sandals. Um, he's got a nose, not a great big nose, but it's a nose. It's not a little tiny nose. Um, and I guess that's really it. So far, I have to talk to him more and find out what he wants me to say. This was a big one. I asked him just before, is it okay to say it? Because he didn't want me to argue with anybody who was very religious and whose life depended on being Christian or Catholic. Um, yeah. By the way, someone's a lover of truth. No, he didn't die on the cross. They took him off without letting anyone know what they were doing. Nobody was around. Um, it was on a main road, but it died down at night, so nobody was paying attention. They took off. I think it was 5 people in in specifically who they took down, so that it looked like you know it looked like it was a group. It didn't look like it was for just for him. Um, and it was really that bunch of old Jewish guys who had the power and felt guilty. They felt rotten about it. They realized that they didn't, that this was wrong. That shouldn't he shouldn't die. He should be able to live. And what he said, because they knew what he said, and they said it was right. He was right. He wanted Judaism not to be just for rich people. He wanted it to be for everyone. He wanted everyone's voice to be heard. Um, he did not say what the later writer said he said. There was a lot that sounded as though he was saying he was the Messiah. He didn't say that. He told me that he didn't. He did not want to be seen as Messiah. He wanted to be seen as one of the like Elijah, as a giver of laws. Someone like Rashi. Rashi in Jewish history was one who interpreted the Torah and gave laws. Very, very famous. And since I am not religious at all and I don't practice, as a Jew, you don't have to. Um, I cannot tell you what Rashi said or what Jesus said that um, was like Rashi. Rashi was, I believe, in Eastern Europe in maybe the 13th, 14th century, where Jesus was so much earlier. His name was not Jesus, also. He said to me to call him Joshua, which I do, you know. Um, I think when he told me his name, it was just too complicated for me. It was Aramaic, I guess, because it wasn't anything I knew, and I couldn't call him whatever it was. It was I forget names as it is. I mean, I'm really an old lady, so yeah, 2,000 years ago or four. I don't know. Let's see. Uh, yeah, 2,100. So we're living now. So, um, I asked him if he had come back over the years. He said he did. He's come back at least twice and lived. Um, I think he mostly observed. He wasn't anybody famous, and he was just here. Um, it's really all. Most of us have come back, like I say all the time, we've come back many times, and we come back as different people. We come back as male or female sometimes. Um, I was talking today to um, one of my cousins, actually my cousin by marriage's wife, and I realized that my great grandfather had been a Chinese, um, like lord of the town or the village. Everybody is everything. That's why I try to say to you, don't hate anybody. You've been there. You've been that. If you haven't been already, you will be. Um, it's important. Um, hate, hate is very destructive. It's really, I think for me, it's impossible not to dislike some people very much because some people are toxic. Some people you cannot deal with. You're not going to be able to. They're really obnoxious and hateful. Um, and I tell you, walk away because nothing that you do or say will ever change their attitude for whatever reason. It's up to them. Not you can't fix them. You might want to, sure, but it's not possible. They really we each have to fix ourselves. Nobody can fix us. You might think, oh, I marry so and so, he'll fix me. Or you'll fix him. No, you can't. It's really up to the person. Um, what else do I want to tell you about hate? Um, I don't believe either in forgiveness. The forgiveness that I believe that makes sense to me is understanding. So when I had a wackadoodle attacking me for crazy stuff that was in his head, like I was supposed to do something that made no sense to me, but to him, that's what he believed. And it wasn't something that went along with the law. It didn't, or even normal average people. It was like really off the wall to me. Um, so what I did to come to distract the hate that I felt was to see that man smiling at me, being friendly, which is not really anything I want, but I wanted to counteract that hate. And I did already understand, I had figured out where it was coming from because um, there's a lot of stuff in the United States, a lot of political movements. Um, one that's prominent is um, National, what the hell is it? National Christian something, like um, they want Christian supremacy, and he's a part of that. And also, they want to pay taxes. Nobody wants to really pay taxes to the government, but there's a group in the Northwest who had taken over places and had killed people. There have been some awful situations with them, um, but they're right now they're sort of backed up and they're not saying anything when there are people in office who go against them. They say a lot and they take over places out in the Northwest. So he's a little bit of that. So I got it. I understand the psychological makeup. Um, that's part of my training too. So I got it. I understand. Um, what else do I have to tell you? Oh, well, I know some of you are not from the United States, and that's good because it's torturous right now being in the United States. Um, it doesn't really matter whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or nothing, because people are apartment houses have been invaded by a force that is not police. It's something um, from the federal government trying to get get people who are not citizens out of the United States and send them to some other country, not necessarily their own country. And they're the one that I remember who reminded me, of course, was a 73-year-old grandmother who was living, I think, in Chicago or somewhere, maybe New York. And they sent her back to the Punjab. She'd been here for 30 years. I don't think she had any criminal record at all. I mean, there wasn't anything. Um, her kids were here grown up, and they arrested her, kept her in a jail for a while, where if she took medication, she didn't get it. And then they flew her back to the Punjab. I'm glad they didn't take her to El Salvador because they've been taking people down to the worst part of the Miami and to the swamps down there. There's a place where they stick people where it's very, very hot and full of mosquitoes. And if not there, they take them to other places that are equally as horrible. And it's pretty bad here. There are government troops invading Chicago, um, Portland, Oregon. They haven't. They haven't. Chicago's a big city, so I don't know. They've done New Orleans and a lot of places in the country. Um, in the if you move, what nonsense. Um, I think that's really it. Just complaining. I'm just complaining about um, what it's like right now, and I'm hoping that our president, um, who is sick, decides to avail himself of other places and leave, retire. He could retire, just go. So that's it for me for today. I know I'm not high energy right now. That's okay. And I'm wearing an old T-shirt, and I'm going to go rest. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, and say hi to Jesus because he'll feel good. Just if you um, I guess if you see him as God, that's okay too. I mean, he is a um, what did they say? He's a like Buddha. You know, he's a risen um, something like I don't know because I don't know because I forget words, so I don't remember what they call him. But he's a person who helps, and there is more than one of him. They go. He told me that there definitely is like a troop of Jesuses, and they're here and there, and they if you ask him to come, they will come. One will come. They all get the message, and they all know when there's a real problem, something that's an emergency. They all go, and he will come. It's what he does. He loves people. So it's it. And it doesn't matter. Someone said, if I am Muslim, it doesn't matter. He's there for everyone, no matter what religion you are. Because I am not Christian. I'm not Muslim, not Christian, not in this life. Um, I have been. It doesn't matter. Remember, we have all been everything. You're Muslim this life. Your last life, I think you were Asian, but Japanese. I think you were Japanese. Maybe the original people in Japan, the indigenous people. You were. So no, you weren't always Muslim. Nobody is always anything. We change, and we're only here to learn. That's the whole thing. We're here to learn to bring information back to ourselves in our real form, which is just energy. This is not our real form. Okay. Have a good night. I've been on for 25 minutes. It's enough. Good night.